Alright, so I got another coat of paint on the cabinet here, and got the sink in, which you saw the other day, and I got the stove installed right here, the range and oven, and that's pretty tight in there. I still have to do a little notching. I got to notch this thing out right here. I need a sharp blade on my saber saw. I got a new little jigsaw there, and it needs to be notched right here to fit. So tomorrow I need to go get a blade for that. It works, but it won't cut straight. It won't cut square. So I need to make sure that cuts really nice in there. And I'll notch that in there, and then it won't have a gap. It'll sit in there a little tighter. But this is basically it. You know, it's that table. I was able to use the full 8 feet, and I decided to go with. My dad and I were looking at this, and he said, "Just cut that knot. You know, just cut the stove in." I was gonna cut this out and use this piece and kind of fab it in there, but it turns out that this piece that I cut out for the sink is going to be enough to go on the top of this, buried and stuff here, to go on top of this fridge. And I don't know if I'm going to have time. We're running out of time quick, and I got to do some work to the truck. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to even get the module for the fridge built, but it's basically going to sit underneath this cabinet, and then if we get a taller one, I'll just be able to take it away and put a taller one next to it. So I'm not making this cabinet reliant on that fridge. That'll operate as a secondary component, because I just don't know how long this thing's going to last. It's old, so it's basically just going to be separate from that. And if we do have a low fridge like that, then it'll have a little bit more countertop space. And if we ended up getting a taller fridge, like say we find one out of an RV, there's actually a pretty good deal on Craigslist last week, but I passed on it, with a tall fridge. You know, it has like 2 or 4 doors opening on it, and it was fairly tall. I think they had some recalls on that particular model, so I didn't go for it. But yeah, it'll basically sit back there. So this is actually going to be a nice work surface. I mean, you got this area right here. You know, maybe you could probably put a small microwave there if you wanted to, and then a nice area right here. You know, it's pretty small overall, but you know, I think my wife's gonna like it, and she's seen kind of the layout, and I think it's gonna be good for us when we're up there, and fairly efficient. But yeah, it'll definitely be small. And I've checked all these appliances out, as you've seen in previous videos. They work fine. And I'm just excited to get this thing loaded up into the trailer and done with this project. I'm so excited to get this thing out of my garage. It's been in here. I've collected parts for this thing for 3 years now. And so I'm glad to have the room back, and then I can start kind of cleaning this area up and getting it back to normal, because it's a disaster right now. But that'll be loaded up here soon. As soon as this dries, by tomorrow, I'm going to put the doors on. And if I can get some help, I will lift this thing into the trailer, slide it in the back, tie it down, and that's where it's going to sit for the next couple weeks until we leave. So I don't know how much more I'm going to do to this drain. Maybe when we get up there, if I have time, I'll put a drain in there. Maybe I'll find something here. I don't know, but I'm definitely not going to have time to plumb it. It'll literally just be putting a water jug here and using it for a wash basin, and just having it drain outside, or maybe just drain into a bucket down here. That might be what I'll do at first. And then I got to figure out all the plumbing. That's later. So, you know, one step at a time, one small step at a time. You know, we'll get there. We'll get this thing done. So, I'm getting excited. A couple weeks to go. I got a lot of work to do. Still, little odds and ends, but this thing actually came together quicker than I thought. And I'm happy with the progress that we got now. At least if we get this up there, we'll have a cooking surface, and we'll have a range cooktop where we can cook food. So that'll be a big step. So yeah, pretty excited. So this is pretty much it. I'll show it completed probably tomorrow once it all dries up, because I don't want to touch it right now. But that's it.